Hey, Philosophy 2, checking in here. We have wrapped up the first half of the class, and now just wanted to check in and look at the second half. So that's coming up pretty soon. This is kind of the beginning of the end, so to speak. I have a couple new things posted. I'll talk about those quickly and just get us ready for the home stretch here. So let's see here. Up now, I'm looking at our course materials now. I've got the study guide for the second half of the class. Of course, that's going to be the most important thing to check out. Like the last time, there'll be a few essay topics, and our final exam will have this time one essay topic that I'll ask you to write on. And those are listed right at the top. Um, I also have in addition to the second half study guide, quiz number 3 on Rawls and Aristotle. It's not due for a little while, but since things go so quickly, probably good to jump on that. Actually, now that I look at that, that is due, I guess, in a week, it says. Um, so, in addition to the second half study guide, Rawls and Aristotle, quiz number 3. Third is the discussion assignment. The third discussion assignment is posted in the discussion board now and fairly similar to the last ones. And that's up there for you. Let's see if there's anything else just kind of assignment wise to look at here. No, other than I think just to say, I will have the remaining assignments, discussion number 4 and quiz number 4, up for you guys pretty soon, so that you can kind of get in there and get ahead, get ready for the finishing stretch. The exam number 2, will be pretty similar to the one we just took, exam number 1, where I'll be again borrowing from the same list of study guide questions to make a number of multiple choice questions, objective part of the exam. And this time we'll just have one essay question for the exam. And these are getting pretty complex, at least a few of the topics that look at like chapter 9 in particular, with communitarianism and liberalism, pretty interesting, thick philosophical terrain we're in now, given the geography that Sandel has kind of been bringing us through in the early parts of the class. He sets up the dispute between liberalism and communitarianism quite well, in part because he was one of the main players in that debate. That was in really the late 90s, I think 80s and 90s. That was a very big topic in political philosophy. And Sandel and Rawls were arguably the two main players duking it out in the literature. Um, I guess not surprisingly, they both worked at Harvard and like were nearly neighbors in physically, in addition to being the main disputants in this important debate. Pretty interesting, I think. I think that lots of new and important issues raised there, and part about collective rights, collective responsibility, collective identity. Um, Really, as Sandel presents it, the very question of what it is to be a free choosing individual, is that to be explained in ways that really abstract from your particular embedded conditions, or is that somehow defined in terms of them? That really, as Sandel presents it, is the hub of the issue, at least as he sees it, separating these two otherwise really political, ethical positions, in particular about whether there are binding obligations that aren't connected to acts of consent. So that really is a moral issue, whether we recognize that third type of moral obligation, which he thinks ends up being settled by what position we take on really a metaphysical question about the nature of the self, what it is to be a freely choosing self. And that gets to be a pretty rich, interesting, thick um, area of philosophical inquiry when we align the issues in the way that Sandel does. So pretty interesting. Also at issue, and this is what the discussion question asks you about, is whether given these like obligations of solidarity, as Sandel wants to call them and defend, he wants to say we do have obligations of solidarity. How does that fit with our ideas about what we're willing to sign on for? Um, Things like reparations, righting injustices of the past and wrongs in the past. How do you deal with that as a general moral topic? Pretty interesting stuff. Okay, so I hope you find it interesting and at least interesting enough to get through, and by now are building a pretty good ethical, philosophical background and way of analyzing things. So let's see, I may not have too much more. I'm just kind of looking at our course materials. Quiz number 3 is up. Study guide for second half is up. You can see the little bit that remains of our schedule, not to sound dramatic. The discussion board is up and you can submit. So I think we are good to go. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll keep checking in and hope you're doing well.